the fact that over 60 million people, 61 million plus, voted for the President of the United States, Donald Trump, because they felt left behind. And it's an inability of people in this House to come to terms with democracy. That's why Tony Blair was visiting TV and radio stations the other day, trying to reverse the democratic decision of the British people. It's the inability to understand what democracy is all about.
My honourable friend is right, and again, there have been plenty of comments here, but 63 million people, I'm reliably informed, it's nearly 63 million people, actually voted for President Trump. And that is their democratic decision. They are the people who have evaluated whether they like the man. They are the people that evaluated whether they think he's going to take the country forward. They are the people, many of whom were aware of some of his comments in the past, who actually voted for him because of the way he has taken the lines that he has. That is not for us to criticise and try and redress the matter now. I thought it was a ridiculous debate that we should somehow stand against his candidacy. He is the president. We must move on. And I actually think the most important thing, if we have our criticisms, we have our concerns, they are done behind closed doors. These public pronouncements seem to me to be completely counterintuitive to what we need to be doing for the future of this country. And my friend who spoke for Gainsborough got it exactly right. The easy argument is to stand in this chamber and make vast speeches about how some of his comments have been totally reprehensible, and they have been. But how much farther does that get us? How much farther does that get our country in the future for the trade deals, the negotiations, and maybe the reliance on them at some point in the future when they need to come to our aid? I suspect this is a very dangerous route to go down.
Mr. Daniel Seichner.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. It's a pleasure to serve under your chairmanship. I just wanted to start by talking about the numbers of people who have signed this petition. It is a truly staggering number. In my constituency, almost 9,000, almost 1 in every 10 residents of Cambridge. And we've been hearing talk about democracy. I have to say, democracy does not equal majoritarianism, and it's very important to remember that. And I just want to say a little bit about why people in cities like Cambridge feel so passionately about this issue. Because they go to the very heart and kernel of people's beliefs about themselves. So we've heard about the people who have been left behind, but there's also another country that values tolerance, education, understanding and learning. That's the kind of city Cambridge is. And there are other cities around the country just like that. So for many, many people, this is more than just a calculation of national interest. This is about who we are. It's about our values. Really, really matters. So I'll quote 1 or 2 of the constituents who have not just signed the petition but have written to me. One who said they were appalled at the recent travel ban imposed by President Trump, which denigrates Western values in such a public and devastating way. Now, we've heard the argument about we've had other unsavoury leaders here in the past, and of course, there are always those kind of trade-offs. And when we invite people here, we are trying to do something positive. We are trying to find common ground. The goal is always to widen dialogue. But the United States is so much better than President Trump. That's the key to this. And we've got a shared history. We go back historically. There's always been a tension between the old world and the new world. It's been a creative cultural tension over many, many years. But the fact that we are such good friends and have such shared values ought to mean that we are the ones who can candidly say to America in a troubled time, and it is a troubled time, to many, many people in America who are looking for something better, that we stand with them at this time. We stand with them. And frankly, as we speak, the Trump presidency has been disintegrating. It's been near meltdown in the White House over the last month or 2. And we shouldn't be coming along to help prop it up. Now, we've heard already about the Prime Minister's rush to go and meet President Trump, and we all understand why that was post-Brexit. We can all see the point. But one of my constituents describes that as an obsequious and inappropriate offer of cordiality. I know that may not be the words that be chosen in every constituency, but it kind of sums up what a lot of people feel in Cambridge. And my view is that turning to such an unstable regime is really a big, big risk. A big risk. It may not look so bright in the months ahead. And is it really the patriotic option in our national self-interest? Are we really sure that this is the person we put our trust in? Now, we used to understand that by sharing sovereignty with others, we were all stronger. Well, now, if we're in this new world where it's everyone for themselves, America's a big, powerful country. If it's America first, where does that leave us exactly? So I think we should think clearly about that. Another constituent says, our relationship with the US is diminished by subordinating our long-held values for our short-term trading interests. The special relationship is only as special as the values which underpin it. Now, I understand the difficulty the Prime Minister has got herself into, but actually there are many ways out of this. Just the revelations about Trump's first choice for National Security Advisor and his potential link with the Russians should surely be more than enough good reason for us to think that enough is enough. If it's about UK national security and interests, then I say think again. And let me conclude, Mr. Turner, by saying, in my view, Mr. Trump is a disgusting, immoral man, and he represents the very opposite of the values that we hold. And he should not be welcome here. We're a tolerant country, but tolerance does not allow that tolerance to be abused. We do not welcome bigots, and we don't stand aside when we see intolerance, ignorance and hatred on the march. We respond, and that response should be for our government to withdraw the invitation.
Monaghan.
It's a pleasure to serve under your chairmanship. I'm a teacher by profession, and one of the most important things that a teacher can give to their pupils is a view of tolerance and respect, of understanding, of knowing that the world is made up of a whole variety of different people who are no better or worse than each other.
Hear, hear.
I became concerned when I heard comments like "grab them by the pussy." But I was even more concerned when these were dangerously dismissed as locker room talk.
Yep.
Now, unlike the member for Gainsborough, I do not know any men who think this, have these thoughts, or even discuss them in the locker room. But then again, I move in different circles to the member for Gainsborough. When Donald Trump was elected, I tweeted, xenophobic, racist, sectarian and sexist rhetoric has just been legitimised. We should all be very afraid. Fox News reported that our First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, had urged Trump to reach out to those who felt marginalised, a view that I think we would all agree with. I will do.
Obviously, I appreciate that you are a trained teacher, but could I ask you to project a little more over the noise of the many, many people that are protesting outside against Trump?
Thank you. Thank my honourable friend for her intervention, and of course many of us may join them after this debate has. No, I won't. However, Fox News also quoted my tweet, and this opened the floodgates. Now, I have a whole pile of them. I'm not going to treat you to the whole selection, but I'll read a couple of brief ones. Mind your damn business and stay the hell out of our politics. The silent majority has spoken. We do not want to end up like your piss-poor country. We kicked your ass once, we can do it again if you give us a reason. And it goes on. I won't read the whole thing. Here's another one. Keep your vulgar comments on your side of the pond. We should have let Germany run over you in the 1940s.
You've got to be kidding.
But my personal favourite
These are
was
American
from the
tweets
geographically
to this member of
challenged
Parliament.
Randy Crone from Dallas, who tweeted, "Ignorant, thick, foolish is the order of the day with Carol Monaghan. Australia should be very afraid." But regardless of why people voted the way they did, a Pandora's box of hate has been opened, and the right wing has become emboldened, both in the United States and across Europe, and this is something that we should all be worried about. Dark rhetoric that should never be uttered is now being freely expressed. What do teachers now tell their classes? How do they teach them tolerance and respect? But not only has Trump been elected, but he has been offered a state visit. How can teachers defend tolerance? How can they stand up to their pupils? How can they tackle bullying, xenophobia and homophobia in schools when we've rolled out the red carpet to him. I've heard a number of people talking about it's in the national interest. Well, I'll tell you what's in the national interest. Showing an example to our young people, telling our young people that these views are not to be accepted, they're not to be tolerated, and we should be defending those who have moderate views and moderate positions. I stand here in support of the 3,554 of my constituents who have signed the petition, and many, many others who emailed me, urging me to speak out against this state visit. And yes, I will.
I thank the honourable friend for giving me. We share a boundary. 5,259 of my constituents have signed the petition against the state visit, compared to 168 who signed the petition in favour. Given the vast level of public interest in this petition, the interest that we can hear from outside, the interest that's been displayed by the number of members wanting to contribute this evening, does she agree with me that the Petitions Committee and the Procedure Committee need to look at ways of extending the time and perhaps even the space that's available for this kind of debate in the future?
Hear, hear.
Absolutely. I thank my honourable friend for that intervention. Of course, one of the things I said as soon as we arrived this afternoon for this debate was, why was this not in the main chamber? Obviously, so many members are wanting to speak today, and I'm sure the main chamber is a lot less busy than it is here this afternoon. So just to conclude, I agree with my constituents, with the overwhelming view of my constituents. This state visit should not go ahead in the national interest.
Hear, hear.
Speaker is Mr. Alistair Carmichael, but before he speaks, could we cut it down to 4 minutes?
Okay.
It's a pleasure to take part in this debate and to serve under your chairmanship. I congratulate the Petitions Committee for bringing it to us this afternoon, and indeed in particular I congratulate all those who set up and signed these petitions. I think for them to see a direct influence of that political activism on the business of this House has got to be a good and positive development. The argument brought forward by those who support the extension of an invitation of this sort to President Trump, as I understood it, the most thoughtful